The Devils finally won a game against the Hurricanes in this playoff series, but they did not make it easy on themselves. But on the bright side, it's a competitive series now. The mindset is no longer don't get swept. We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. We'll also hear from Jonas Siegenthaler. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey club play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. I am back from the Prudential Center. And man, oh man, it was a long night. In fact, it was a long day because I was there for morning skate. I was at the Prudential Center for nearly 24 hours. It is around 3 a.m. as I am recording this episode, but the grind does not stop. Enough of my pity party. Let's talk about Game 3 between the Devils and the Hurricanes. I said it in the previous few episodes I published that Game 3 was essentially a must-win for the Devils. Because had they hypothetically gone down 3-0 and were in that deficit, chances are the mentality just shifts to don't get swept. The series is pretty much over, but don't get swept. But now, since the Devils trail 2-1 and have another home game, which will be played on Sunday, this makes things a little more interesting. And this game exceeded my expectations. It did cause some frustrations, I'll be completely honest, because watching the 2 overtime periods, I'm just like, can someone generate something? The Devils look tired. They look fatigued because that certainly played a factor. In the first segment of today's episode, I will share my main takeaways from the matchup. Then in the second segment, we will hear from Jonas Siegenthaler. He made his triumphant return, and holy crap, did he have a lot on his plate. Sheldon Keefe said Siegenthaler didn't really have time to condition to get back into game action. He pretty much had to be thrown into the fire. Siegenthaler went above and beyond the call of duty. I will also list some players that caught my eye and name my personal 3 stars of the game. And then in the third and final segment, I will compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade. All right, what's more fun than overtime, especially in the playoffs? How about 2 overtime periods? If you stuck around for all of that, salute. Because like I said, I was sitting up in the press box and I was standing up just in frustration because both teams were maneuvering a little slow. Like I said, I think both of them were tired, but the Devils had this one in the bag to possibly end it in regulation, but they choked it away. The Devils came out the gate strong, generating early looks on Freddie Anderson. Haula and Mercer had a few early chances. It seemed like the Devils were going to come up empty-handed in the first period. Luckily, Nico Hischier picked up the slack with a series of sweet moves to put the Devils up 1-0. Shout out to Timo Meier for that great pass. Meier is still snake-bitten when it comes to goals. Anderson robbed them a couple times in this game as well, but digressing a little bit, the Devils were essentially rocking with 5 defensemen because Jonathan Kovacevic only played 6 minutes. He did not return to action, and Sheldon Keefe even said post-game he did not have an update on Kovacevic. So that's a little concerning, and I'll talk about that momentarily because this goes back to what I said about Siegenthaler. He had a lot on his plate. In the second period, circling back to what Sheldon Keefe told the media after morning skate, the Hurricanes once again did a good job pressuring the Devils in their own end, especially when they went on a power play. It was a big-time struggle for the Devils to break out. They allowed Sebastian Aho to get a golden opportunity shorthanded. Remember, that's what killed the Devils in Game 2 by allowing Jordan Martinook to score the game-winning goal in the second period via a shorthanded goal. The Devils escaped the second period, unscathed, but barely. I think it's safe to say that everyone's anxiety just went up a little bit. The anxiety for me alleviated when Dawson Mercer scored in the third period, when he was crashing the net. Unfortunately, that was very short-lived because the Devils couldn't make it easy on themselves. Siegenthaler picked up an interference call that led to Seth Jarvis scoring a power play goal. Then Pesce got a delay of game penalty not too long afterwards. And what does that result in? Another power play goal for the Hurricanes, this time to Sebastian Aho. Remember, he had a chance shorthanded in the previous period. The Devils' penalty kill was not good. It failed them big time. This is what Sheldon Keefe has been repeating ad nauseum, which is it comes down to special teams, and it seems like the Devils always get beat in that aspect in this series. Like I said, they could have ended this game in regulation. They had it in the palm of their hand when Dawson Mercer scored that insurance goal because Jacob Markstrom was doing a good job in between the pipes once again. Then comes overtime. You could tell that the Devils were gassed. First overtime comes and goes. We were actually joking about this pre-game, me and the rest of the media, that this game, for some reason, it just had the feel that it could possibly go into triple overtime. Luckily, it stopped after the second one, but I'm just like, oh man, this is going to be a very long night. Luckily, Shimo Nemec came up big in overtime. Freddie Anderson, he was playing like a Vezina caliber goalie. He's been robbing the Devils all series long. Let me make this clear. The Hurricanes, they are the favorites to win this series, and rightfully so. But let's not act like the Devils are out of their depth. Yeah, game 1 was a bit of a stinker, but game 2, they performed better. Unfortunately, special teams. Game 3, this game, yes, they came away victorious, but they could have ended it in regulation. But focusing on Nemec, he needed that game-winning goal to boost his confidence. He even talked about that post-game. It's been a struggle this year for Nemec, and I'm glad that he got to shine in that sort of matter because the Devils needed this win. And I talked about how sometimes the playoffs can bring out the best in someone. Let's go back a couple seasons. How did the Devils overcome a 2-0 deficit against the Rangers? Dougie Hamilton, he came through in overtime at Madison Square Garden to give the Devils their first win of the series, and that shifted the momentum back into the Devils' favor. We saw Eric Haula step up his game. Andre Palat step up his game. Nemec, I admit, I've been rather hard on him throughout the course of the regular season. I have given him his roses. I said he is an AHL All-Star with a lot of potential, but if it was between him or Seamus Casey, I lean towards Seamus Casey a little bit more, but I'm glad that Nemec has stepped up to the plate and had that big moment. He needed that one, and I can't take that away from him. All right, so this win was great and all, but I do have some concerns when it comes to the Devils. Kovacevic got hurt early in the game and did not return. Remember, Brendan Dillon is still out. Luke Hughes is still out. Dougie Hamilton is recovering from his injury. This was his fourth game played. Jonas Siegenthaler is recovering from his injury. He got hurt before the Four Nations face-off tournament. That was back in February. So both of them are not at 100%, let's be real. The Devils are getting a little spread thin when it comes to their back end. Now, shout out to Brian Dumoulin. He played in nearly 40 minutes. Brett Pesce, 32 minutes. Dougie Hamilton, 31 minutes. I can go on. Dumoulin and Pesce, they stepped up to the plate. They had to eat up a chunk of those minutes. Jonas Siegenthaler, nearly 30 minutes after being sidelined for quite some time. But it is a little concerning that the Devils are dealing with these injuries as the series progresses, and it does leave a lot of question marks. And going back to what I just said moments ago, they almost choked this game away. They could have been down 3-0. I was rather concerned when they sacrificed not one, but 2 power play goals in the third period after it seemed like they had the game in hand, up 2-0. They had a cushion to work with. That's all they needed, just 2 goals. Because even if you sacrifice one, you're still ahead. And if you hold on to that lead late, then the Hurricanes are going to have to pull Frederick from the game, get the extra attacker, and you can get the empty netter goal. I'll give credit where credit is due. The Devils have done a good job of closing out games when they have the lead after the second period. But this game, it was impressive. I'm sure everyone was entertained. It was rather long, but I'll be completely honest, with the amount of injuries that the Devils are still dealing with, it does have me a little concerned, but I'm hoping that they can continue to make this a competitive series. That's all I ask. All right, we're going to hear from Jonas Siegenthaler and also highlight some players that caught my eye. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love FanDuel, makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team, the Los Angeles Lakers, or driving into player props. Luka Doncic, he had a stinker in Game 3 against the Timberwolves, dealing with a flu bug or something. I'm really concerned for my Lakers right now. I'm going to be completely honest. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Okay, I talked about how Jonas Siegenthaler played a big role with the Devils, not in just this game, but all season long. The Devils can certainly use his defensive-minded abilities against a good pressure team like the Hurricanes. We asked Siegenthaler what it was like to be thrown back into the fire, how he was feeling, going back to what Sheldon Keefe said, not really having that much time to condition to get back into game shape. And I think it's safe to say that he and a few of his other teammates were a little fatigued at the end of the game. I certainly was fatigued after watching it. I even asked him, what does the team need to do to make sure that they have the same success that they've been seeing in the first period, not in just this game, but the prior game, because the Devils have been performing well in the first period. And I talked about it at the end of the season. Getting off to a good start is key, but you got to try to keep your foot on the gas pedal, if that makes sense. Here's what Siegenthaler had to say to the media post-game.
It's one of the things that Sheldon said this morning is that, conditioning might not be where it needs to be. Try and protect a little bit of your minutes, but this game goes to double OT. You play tons of minutes. How do you feel out there in that first game?
I'm pretty gassed right now, but, it's kind of good too. I'm kind of riding the game, and it wasn't easy, but, I think we all battled through it, and, it just feels nice to get a win out of it.
I was going to say, how difficult is that to sort of jump in after being out for months into a playoff game just like this?
It's not easy. I mean, it's playoffs as well. It's a whole nother beast, and I was just kind of trying to prepare myself mentally. It took me a couple shifts, but I think after first period, I kind of found my legs, and after that, I was just playing hockey. I've done it for my whole life, and at the end, if you just play hockey, you don't think too much about anything else. I think you have sometimes one of your best games.
What was it like to see Nemo score that overtime goal?
It's good. I mean, I'm happy for him. He played pretty good tonight. And it was maybe because he's a little younger than everybody else. He still had some legs and went through there and scored at the end. And I'm happy for him. And he played unbelievable tonight.
How much did the crowd help those legs tonight?
Yeah, they're a part of us. I think if they get into it, it's kind of not easy for us, but it gives us a little push, and I think that's what we need in playoffs. And it's always nice to play at home, and with that crowd, they're always fun games.
How about your style of play tonight as a group, physical, and the way you matched up against them?
Yeah, they have a couple big bodies over there, but I think we didn't shy away. We held our ground and tried to play a physical game as well. I tried to do my part, and I think you saw at the end they were kind of gassed as well. And I think at the end we just pulled together, and we believed in each other, and Nemo took us out there.
When Johnny didn't come out after the first period, was there a conversation with you, like, might need you a little more than we thought?
Yeah, I mean, it was clear. We only had 5 Ds, and I didn't expect to play that much, but as I said, I prepared myself mentally for that, for whatever comes, and I think if you're like in the flow, you don't think too much about anything, so it's kind of good.
Did you say anything to Markstrom after save after save after save? I mean, what was going on with the talk?
Yeah, Marky, he was unbelievable again. I think he's one of the best goals in my opinion, and he's so quick. He's kind of like a wizard, and he helps us almost every game, and we're happy to have him in the back of the net.
It seemed.
Mentioned this morning, and sorry if you've already been asked this, but you mentioned this morning that your conditioning, you're still building that base back up. Just how did you feel physically? How tired were you by the end? Like, how are you holding up physically?
Yeah, it wasn't easy at the start, but I tried to find my legs as quick as possible, and I thought after the first period I was kind of in the rhythm, and as I said, if you just play hockey, you don't think about the injury you had or anything else, and I think that's sometimes the best.
It seemed like you guys got off to a good start, but as the game progressed, it seemed like they started to figure you guys out a little bit more. What do you guys need to work on to try to keep that consistency throughout the entire 60?
Yeah, I mean, at the end, it's playoff. They're trying to push as well. They probably didn't like their first period, and they tried to make a push in the second, and we just try. We gotta come out of the game or every period the same way as we did on the first, and I think if we do that, we have a lot of confidence, and but yeah, it's not always easy.
I'll be completely honest, since this game went into double overtime, I had to run to the train station in order to get myself home. Everything was just hectic, so I just said, okay, I'll interview Siegenthaler and I'll call it a night. It was a long, chaotic night for a lot of people, and I'm sure I'm not just the only one. All right, let's name some players that caught my eye, and then I will name my personal 3 stars of the game. Honorable mention number 1, and he's the only honorable mention, is Jesper Bratt. He is averaging a point per game in the playoffs right now. In 3 playoff games, he has 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists. I got to give credit where credit is due. Jesper Bratt, we talked about how he went a little silent in the 2023 playoffs, but I would say he's been one of the Devils' best offensive weapons in this year's playoffs, and he certainly keeps them afloat and gives them a fighting chance. So that's why he's my honorable mention. Now on to my 3 stars. My 3rd star goes to Nico Hischier for scoring that goal in the first period to get the Devils off and running in the right direction. Who else but the captain? And Nico Hischier is actually having a good showing in the playoffs so far as well. 3 games played, 2 goals. He's taking a lot of face-offs. He's doing the dirty work, similar to what Sheldon Keefe said at the end of the year. He gives all sorts of tough assignments to Hischier to endure, and Hischier goes above and beyond the call of duty. He was one of the leaders in ice time for the Devils in this game. You could tell as the game waned on that he was losing his speed a little bit, but that was to be expected. So Nico Hischier is my 3rd star. My 2nd star goes to Jacob Markstrom. I don't think that's up for debate. Expected goals against 4.116. The Hurricanes netted 2 goals past them. Goals saved above expected rating 2.12. Saw 27 shots, made 25 saves, giving him a save percentage of 926. We needed Markey to elevate his game come the playoffs. He's done that. My 1st star, you know who I'm going to say, Shimo Nemec. Heroes are made in the playoffs. And this is Nemec's hero story. I just want to make something perfectly clear. I know Nemec has a lot of potential. I know his future is bright, and maybe he's given more slack because he is a former 2nd overall pick. But make no mistake, Nemec is a really good player, and I'm glad he was able to get the game-winning goal for New Jersey. He went home the hero. So he is my 1st star, and now the Devils have cut the lead in half, 2 games to 1, and have a chance to even it up on Sunday. All right. Before I compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade and finally go to bed, let me tell you guys about Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller all day long. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's a perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, let's compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade, and get out of here. Shots on goal differential, 37-27 in favor of the Devils. Sheldon Keefe said that best case scenario for the Devils to try to win these games is to outshoot their opposition. Mission accomplished. That's what they're doing, but they gotta continue to finish. That's also a big thing because Timo Meier, he's probably the most snake-bitten player on the team right now. I guess his March Madness run is officially over. Power plays. The Hurricanes were 2 for 4 in their power play opportunities. The Devils were 0 for 5 in this game, but not only that, the Devils have not scored a power play goal so far during the playoffs. That's a bit of a concern, considering the fact that's one of their strengths. So if they're not playing to their strengths, that can come back to bite them. And we saw in this game, they had their opportunities, but you can't waste them. Speaking of the power plays, it seemed like the referees, especially in the overtime periods, they weren't calling anything close. They were letting the players play unless it was like painfully obvious, clear as day. Then they would call something. But seemed like they swallowed their whistles in overtime, for better or for worse, but I'll let you be the judge of that. Hits, 43-39 in favor of the Devils. Check out my interview that I conducted with Paul Cotter. He talked about the art of hitting and how it can help a team get possession. Giveaways, 13-10 in favor of the Devils. Takeaways 8-4 in favor of the Devils. Block shots 33-17 in favor of the Devils. Time spent in the penalty box 12-10 in favor of the Hurricanes. All right. If I had to give the Devils a letter grade, let me think about this. This game was entertaining. Their first win of the series. They're back in it. Now they can make it a competitive one. But I'm going to have to dock them some points because they made it harder on themselves. And you guys already know my stance on it. So I will give them a B-. It wasn't really their best efforts. I know that they're dealing with some injuries, but yeah, you can't choke away your lead like that. You need to be able to finish on your chances. You need to be able to close it out so that way you don't risk injury or you don't run the risk of just running out of gas and then your opponent catches you at a weak moment. So I'll give the Devils some grace in that sort of aspect, but yeah, I know they're capable of better. Let's just be real here, but these injuries, Devil, it's catching up to the Devils. I'll just say that. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this game? Did you stay for the entirety of it? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Thanks for listening. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening once again.